Hey everybody, today I'm going to do the Simplified Massive Darkness True Solo variant that I've created for Quest 3, The Chosen One. So if you haven't already seen it, I have created a video that walks through kind of the differences of the rules that I have for this simplified variant. And I also have a video for the setup. The setup is pretty much the basic thing, but just a little bit of differences, so you can watch those videos if you want. But now let's go ahead and go through this game. So in this video we're playing the Quest 3, The Chosen One. The objectives are to collect all the artifact pieces to assemble an artifact. And the Chosen One hero holding the artifact leaves the dungeon. So all you have to do is you collect these 3 artifacts. Where are they? In this room, and that room, and yes, this one here. You collect those 3 and then go out the exit. Since we're playing true solo, there's only going to be one character, so that is going to be the chosen hero. The flavor text says here, while you're battling against the last monster, a boss sent a goblin courier to call upon reinforcements and all available artifacts. You easily track down the courier until you reach the underground cave network. This place holds a special artifact and is very well protected. The plan is simple. Choose one of the Lightbringers to claim the artifact and trap the garrison in its lair. So as you go and look for the artifacts, these 3 here, when you collect each artifact, you just discard it. But when you've collected all 3 of them, you can draw a random artifact card that you can add to your player. And then you also spawn 2 roaming monsters. One here in this lair token and the other one in this lair place right here. So we're playing in the normal mode, so he has 10 health points, which we'll track here in the XP. And for Elias, his shadow mode skill is attack. He gets +1 BAM, which equates to a unblockable wound. He also has a special skill of Zap, where you roll a yellow dice and then you do wounds for each sword that comes up. We are, the monsters and Elias are starting at level 3, and there's no changing in the levels, so we'll be at level 3, but it is possible for the hero to get level 5 weapons if we find the special treasures. Elias will start with a Wand of Healing, and that's 1 yellow and 1 red die, and then the Scepter, and that's also 1 yellow and 1 red die. We ignore the BAM and diamond effects on the cards. For his armor, he's got chainmail armor, and that's 1 blue and 1 green die. So as we start out, Elias takes his turn. In the simplified variant, he can take 2 actions, and the action can be either an attack or it can be movement, and movement is 2 points. So he can move a total of 4 points, if you will. So in here, we have some weapons here. We could go straight and get the artifacts, but I'll go ahead and explore these rooms because we might get either a special weapon or special treasure for upgrading our weapons, or we might get some health points, like kind of like a potion that we could use later. So we'll have him move 2. So we'll move 1 and then 1 movement point to open a door. So now we need to spawn the doors, or open the door card. Okay, so we can just shuffle up the door cards and draw a random one. And it says no enemy in the first room, and spawn a guard in the second room. Okay, so the guard that we've spawned is the Goblin Archer, and the weapon is the Plague Sword, which is a melee weapon of 2. So I just placed the enemy over here. So we'll find the archer, and the archer in this particular case has 2 minions for each character. Okay, so that is his first action. Now he has a second action. So I will move in. In the simplified variant, he can, on an attack, he can make once per turn, he can have 1 movement and then attack. So he'll move in. The next thing that we'll do is we will use his special skill, the Zap. All right, so we get 1 wound to the archers. So we just remove one of those archers. We don't get any XP because we don't use that in this simplified variant. But now we will attack with his two weapons. He has 2 yellow and 2 red die. So in addition to his attack die, the goblin archers have 2 blue die. So let's see what we get. All right. So in this particular variant, BAMs act as an unblockable wound. So we do 1 unblockable wound to the archers, and also, even though they're on defense, they have a BAM and they do 1 unblockable wound to us. So since the archers have 1 health point, since we did 1 unblockable wound to them, that second archer minion will die, and then for us, we will immediately take 1 hit point right there. Now we can count up the swords. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 swords, and there are 2 shields, so we do a total of 2 more wounds to the archers. So that's enough damage to actually kill that archer right there. So we'll just lay them down because in this variant, the enemy get their attack even if they were killed. So that concludes the hero phase. So now, just like Massive Darkness, we move to the enemy phase. And in the enemy phase, we have 2 yellow and 1 red for melee, 2 yellow and 1 red for range. So we can choose either to do a range or melee attack. So we'll just assume that they did a range attack here. So they have 2 yellow and 1 red, and our hero has 1 blue and 1 green. So we roll. And we see that they do 1 extra damage against us because we have 1 shield, they have 2 swords. So that brings us to 2 damage. So now we can go ahead and remove that enemy from the board, and we can drop that weapon here so that the hero can pick it up if they want it. It is a melee weapon, so it could be useful to him because we can have we can exchange weapons. So he might pick that up, and we just take the the enemy card off the board. In this variant, there is no experience phase, so we move directly to the event phase. Now, normally you don't draw an event card, but instead, since there's no enemies on the board, we do draw an event card. So we draw the Agent Patrol card. So we need to search the current level deck for an agent and spawn him. Now, for most monsters, we will actually spawn them at the exit. And in this particular case, since we have a door that locks that exit, we would just spawn them right next to that door. But because an agent spawns other monsters, we're going to go ahead and spawn him right next to our current hero on that same tile in the middle of the tile. So the level 3 agent is the Orc agent, and we have drawn the Meteor Scepter as his weapon. Now, fortunately, the Meteor Scepter is a magic weapon, and that Orc agent doesn't have any magic, so he can't really use that to his advantage. But we'll place the Orc agent right here in the middle zone of the current tile. And once again, the reason that we're spawning him here as opposed to the exit is because the agents continually spawn new monsters. Okay, so now it's the hero's turn. So we will attack the agent, but the first thing that we're going to do is pick up this tile and the treasure, and it is no treasure. So we get nothing for that. So the next thing that we'll do is we'll use our special ability, a special skill, and do the zap. So we roll our 1 die, and good, we do 1 wound. Now I'm just going to go ahead and put the wound marker on the enemy card, and he takes 4. He has 4 health points. So now Elias will attack. He is in a shadow zone, so he will get 1 BAM. So he'll do automatically 1 wound. So the Orc agent has a defense of 2 blue and 1 green. We again have 2 yellow and 2 red. So let's see how that goes. Okay, so for a diamond, we do 2 unblockable wounds. They have a BAM, so they do 1 unblockable wound to us. So since we have the shadow zone, we have an automatic BAM, that's 1 wound, and the diamond, that's 2. So we have a total of 3, so we guarantee that we kill that Orc agent. So we'll go ahead and lay down that Orc agent there. And since they have a BAM, they do 1 damage to us. We don't really need to count up the other swords and shields at this point because we already know that we have enough to kill the agent. So let's lower our health by 1. Now it's the enemy turn. Since the orc was killed, he will not spawn, but he will get his chance to attack. So he will move 1, because he's melee, and he will attack with 2 red. Again, we have 1 blue and 1 green defense. Okay, so he does 2 wounds against us, and then we also have a shield against 3 swords, so he does a total of 4 wounds to us. Okay, so let's remove 4 points, and that puts us at a 3. So as you can see, they've kind of attacked us pretty heavily. So this is the reason why we have a healing place with an open door. We will want to come there as quickly as we can. And this is also why we will typically spawn monsters near the exit. So that concludes our enemy phase. So we can just remove the agent from the board and then drop his weapon here. But our hero is not going to pick up that weapon because we already have 2 red. So I'm just going to remove that from the game. Now, since once again there are no more enemies on the board, we will draw an event card. So I'll just shuffle it some and draw 1 event card. And this is a rear monster patrol. Even though it says rear monster patrol, we're going to spawn it at the exit. So we'll spawn a roaming monster at the exit. Since we're playing at level 3, we use a lesser monster, and we drew the Abysmal Demon, so we'll place him here in the center zone of this tile that contains the exit. The weapon that we drew has 2 yellow for melee, and it says it can be used to resolve melee action at range 0 and 1. So we will honor that, but we won't honor the BAM. Okay, so now it's the hero's turn again. The hero can come here and pick up this treasure. Now, there is 1 trap in all the treasures, and a trap is an automatic 2 points of unblockable damage. We are currently having 3 health, so if this is a trap, it's a little risky because I will have only 1 health point left, so I better not get in a fight with any other enemies. So I can come over to the healing place. That's definitely what I'm going to do fairly soon, but I'm going to go ahead and risk it because I think it's not likely that this is a trap, but it could be. So it's his turn. He will take 1 movement and take another movement to pick up this, and it is a normal treasure, so that gives me 2 health points. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is bring my health back up to 5. Now I take my second action, so I'll, for the first movement point, I will go ahead and pick up this weapon, and then I will move 1 point to the shadow zone. Our backpack is unlimited, so I'll just put the weapon here, and I can exchange for no cost, but I don't need to do that right now. Now it's the enemy phase. I am in a shadow zone, so the monster can't see me, the enemy can't see me, so he will move 2. He tries to attack, then he takes his movement action, so he's moved 2. He still can't see me, so he stops his turn there. Since there are enemies on the board, we skip the event phase. We don't draw any event cards. So now it's the hero's turn again, and so we will just move out. So I will just move 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I could move here and the monster will see me, so he gets to move 4. But I'm going to go ahead and risk it just so that make some progress there. So now it's the enemy's turn. The enemy tries to attack. They can't, so they move 1, 2. And at this point, the question is, can they attack again? They can't, but the enemy can see me because I'm in a light zone, or they know that I'm down here at least. So they get to move a second time, and they will go 1, 2, and stop there. Since there is an enemy on the board, we skip the event. We don't draw an event card, and so now it's the hero's turn again. So we are trying to get into this healing place as quick as possible. So I will move 2 for my first action, and then 2 for my second action, and now I'm thankfully in a shadow zone. I can't roll a red die this time because I've already used my 2 actions. So now it's the enemy's turn, and they use the normal targeting rules. They first see if there is a hero in range, there's not, and then the next they see if there's a hero in line of sight, which of course there isn't, and then they check to see if there's a hero in the light zone, and he's not. So now he goes towards the starting zone. Now, if in some cases, this is almost an equidistant path going this way or the other way. If there is a case like that, I typically just take a 10-sided die and roll it to see which side I go, or any die. But this is actually a little shorter, so we'll have him move in this direction. So he moves, tries to attack, he can't, so he moves 2, and he cannot see me, so he stops his movement there. In other words, the enemies only take 2 turns if they actually can target the hero. So I'm happy to just kind of let this monster go by while I try to heal up before I go looking for other artifacts or attack other monsters. So for both my actions, I'm going to roll the red die. So first I roll a sword, so nothing happens. And on my second action, I roll again, and I roll a diamond, so that gives me full health. So I'll bump my health marker back up to 10. So that concludes the hero's turn. So now it's the enemy phase again. Again, he tries to attack, moves 2. He cannot see me, so he stops there. Since monsters are on the board, we don't draw an event card, so now it's a hero's turn again. Now I know this monster is going to go toward the start because of Massive Darkness targeting rules, so I'm going to go ahead and come out and open that door. So I'll go 1, 2 on my first action, and for my second action I will start by opening the door. I will stay here to see whether or not I should attack. So I've got one more movement point left if I were to move in, but I actually am going to see if I can maybe attack here, because if an enemy winds up spawning here, I can attack them, because remember, we can take 1 movement point during an attack. So let's see what the door card shows us. Okay, so this door card is an ambush, so we spawn 1 guard right where we are, no enemy in the second room, and this is a 3 zone room, so we actually do spawn a second guard. So the enemies that we spawn is I spawn goblin warriors with a javelin here as the ambush, and then orc enforcers with an ice axe in this 3rd room. Now I tend to put the enemies just kind of in order so I know to activate them in the order that they were spawned. So since this is an ambush, I can't really attack them with magic in this zone because I've already used my 1 point. I do have an extra point, but then I couldn't do an attack. I can only do 1 movement for my attack here. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a zap, and then I'm going to change my weapon, and then attack with the melee weapon that I picked up earlier. Okay, so let's do the zap. Alright, so we get 2 swords, so we do 2 points of damage. That's enough to take out 1 of the goblin warriors, the minion. I'll go ahead and remove the minion from the board. Next, I'll just go ahead and exchange one of the magic weapons for the plague sword, which has 2 yellow. Now the goblin warriors have a defense of 3 blue. In our roll, thankfully, they don't have any BAMs. There is 1 shield that they roll against 1 sword, but I have a second sword, so we do 1 more point of damage. So we'll just assign 1 damage to the card, and that concludes the hero's turn. Oh, but I almost forgot. Since I'm in a shadow zone, I do have attack 1 BAM, so I get 1 extra wound. So that actually is enough to kill the goblin warriors. And that actually is one of the reasons why I switched over to this simplified variant, because trying to keep up with the skill sheets and looking in so many different places to find out what even one particular attack was just hard to maintain. So I almost forgot that shadow mode skill right there. Yeah, I could put a damage token on there, but we know all he needs is 1 more, and he was dead. So he's killed, but he does get his final attack. Now we're going to move the enemies in this order: the Abysmal Demon, then the Goblin Warriors, then the Orc Enforcers. So according to Massive Darkness rules, he still can't see us. So we're making a lot of noise, but apparently he can't hear. So he's going toward, he targets the entrance, so he can't attack, and so he will move 2. Again, since he can't see us, he will stop there. Now it's the Goblin Warrior's turn. So the Goblin Warrior is a melee enemy, so they have 2 red die against our 1 blue and 1 green. All right, so let's see how this turns out. Okay, so they do pretty much a lot of damage to us. They do 3 points of damage. We can't block any of it. So remove 3 points of damage here. And now it's the Orc Enforcer's turn. So we'll go ahead and remove the Goblin Warrior from the board. The Orc Enforcers get their turn. Oh, don't forget, we can leave that weapon out there if we want it. Now I don't think I'm actually going to pick up a ranged weapon, but I might. So I'll leave it here in that area. Now it's the Orc Enforcer's turn. They try to attack, they can't. So they move 2, and then they try to attack again. They can see me, even though I'm in shadow mode, I'm in line of sight. So they can move 1 and then attack. So that brings them within range so that they're able to attack. Yeah, they have 2 yellow, 1 red, and then their extra weapon that they're carrying is 2 red. So 3 red, 2 yellow. Ooh, not good. All right, and for defense, we only have 1 blue and 1 green. So let's roll and see what we get. Okay, so they do 1 point of automatic damage. We only have 1 shield. We unfortunately don't do any damage to them. That shield and that sword cancel out. So they do a total of 3, 4, 5, 6 damage to us. Whoa, that was really close because I only have 7 health. So -6 leaves us at 1 point of health. Fortunately, the enemy phase is over, and there are enemies on the board, so no more enemies are going to be spawned. And also, fortunately, we're in a pretty good spot to get to the healing place and not be attacked by the enemy, so it's kind of like a hide-and-seek type of thing. Okay, we'll stop it here for this part of the playthrough. If you've enjoyed that, just pick it up on the next portion.